All right. I've been working on a little bit of a shelving thing for miniatures. I know it looks like dungeon tiles, but I'm actually using this. I saw on a dungeon craft video or on the Facebook page that he'd made an actual display shelf for miniatures using this pink foam, and as I happen to have a ton of it in the garage, I thought, why not? It'll give me something to do. That aside, today's video, or this evening's second video, this is just going to be on YouTube. I'm not streaming this on Twitch, I don't believe. It's going to be about a forgotten game called Dark Conspiracy by Lester W. Smith, and of course, produced by Game Design Workshop, which has been defunct for a very long time. And that's unfortunate because when I was a kid, I loved Game Design Workshop. I bought so much of their stuff. Traveler, Twilight 2000. They came out with, I think, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. They came out with actually a bunch of versions of Traveler. And of course, Dark Conspiracy. Now, what Dark Conspiracy is it's a near future. Okay, according to this was put out in 91. This is my original book. So it's a little beat up. I kind of took care of this guy. But if you ever really wanted to give this game a try, it is available, I think, print on demand from Drive-Thru RPG for I don't know how much. I paid $20 new. So it might be more than that. And of course, it's got that I think that looks like a not Arrow Otis. I'm going to look and see who did this art. It looks super like one of the old school TSR artists. So I have to look. Okay. Let's see. Front cover, Larry Elmore. Right. I'm an Arrow Otis freak, but Larry Elmore, he did the cover for the Beckme set, the basic one anyway. I don't know if he did the rest of the covers. But he has done a ton of great art for D&D over the years. And then, of course, we've got interior illustrations by too many people to name, actually. I guess I could, but that would take up a lot of time. So what the basic premise of this is it's the near future. Aliens, evil spirits, extra-dimensional monsters, whatever you want, have seeped through the walls between reality into our reality, and they feed on misery. So they try and set up situations where people will be miserable, and they'll feed on that. That's the overall scope, but you could really take this and run with it. Like if you wanted to play a supernatural game, like with Sam and Dean Winchester, you could do that with this game if you wanted. The rule set is a very close adaptation of this rule set, Twilight 2000, which is mostly a percentile-based rule set. I believe there might be dice sixes for damage or something. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I looked into this. That's my original box set. But I didn't play this one a whole lot, believe it or not. I bought it when I was in the Army. And then when I actually played this game, and we played it for quite a few years, I ran it. I used, I think, the third edition, which was a thick yellow book. Also available, Drive-Thru RPG. So the basic thing with this is you play an investigator. So kind of like Call of Cthulhu in a way. But it's up to the group to determine what they're going on. And it's not like Call of Cthulhu in that in this game, you can actually fight a lot of the bad guys. Especially because there's you have access to a lot of modern weaponry. So if you're fighting, say, evil Bigfoot or, carnivorous swamp apes in the Everglades or something, it's not too bad when you have access to full automatic assault rifles or maybe an RPG. Because some of the monsters you fight are just monsters. Now, others are supernatural, and you can get into that. You have a number of attributes strength, con, agility, intelligence, education, charisma, empathy. And these are basically 1 to 10 attributes. You get 33 points to split amongst them. Empathy is the only one that can be 0, and no attribute can be above 10. Let's see who. It's 11 at night, so I'm wondering, you're interested in going in on 1,000 rounds of green tip 5.56? No, I don't even own a 5.56. I'll have to get back to him. So you generate your attributes, and then it's a skill system. And how it works is kind of by a life path system. So you pick kind of like your early life. So here's some things you can get into. Business, criminal, empathic, which is kind of like psychers or shamans or whatever. Government, military, law enforcement. And then depending on what you chose, it will determine your starting age, your starting money, starting equipment, and starting skills. So looking here, let me see. And you can do this for multiple terms, just like Traveler, except this is a die 10 system. This is very similar to the system that Traveler, the new era or next era. I mean, I didn't like that game, so okay. So you have your strength or your attributes, and then each attribute has skills under it. So that's just your typical whatever. And then you have hit points are based on location. So, and that's also based on your constitution. So if your constitution is 4, then your base hit points is going to be a increment of 4. So it looks here like right arms and legs are ×2, torso is ×3, head is ×1. But that's for scratch. You have scratch, slight wound, serious, and then critical. If you take more than a critical, then you're dead. So you pick your career. So let's say you decide, hey, I want to go to medical school, right? So you have to roll to get in, and in order to get in, you need an undergraduate degree, which means you have to actually go to undergraduate university. So let's go back to there. As an undergraduate university, you need an intelligence of 5+. Then you will get skills equal to your character's education attribute from a list. So biology, chemistry, computer operation, you get the deal. You'll gain a contact that can be from the academic or journalist skill, and you roll die 10, and if you roll 10, your contact is from a foreign country. So you could go through there and say you chose language as one of your skills. Then you could, if you rolled a 10, one of your contacts could be, I don't know, maybe an Israeli archaeologist or something, or linguist, or whatever. You can also, if you get through this, choose to go into ROTC. But let's say you got through that. That's 4 years of your life going to school. I think it's 4. I'm going by Traveler now. I'm blurring some systems here. But regardless, so you spend some years, you go through undergrad. You could then choose to go on to graduate school or medical school. If you go into medical school, then you get, in order to get entry into medical school, you need to have went through undergraduate, so an undergraduate degree, biology 3 and chemistry 2. So right there, you know what skills you have to take when you go through undergraduate if you want to go through medical and become a doctor. When you go through there, the character automatically receives computer 1, medical 6, observation 1, a medical contact on an 8+, the contact is foreign. You also get some special, there's some special rules. Like after medical school, your character could enter the military as a direct commission as a captain. Which, again, entering military school, does some stuff. But your typical, like you've got your civilian occupations, astronaut, which honestly I think should be military, but I just thought of that right now. But athlete, attorney, bodyguard, bounty hunter, civil engineer, clergyman. You know, if you want to be the friendly neighborhood Jewish rabbi that's just out there trying to figure out, maybe you're fighting Devics, you know, or maybe you're an Orthodox priest trying to run down, you know, and, you know, but anyway, pretty much anything you can think of. Cyborg escaping, you know, drifter. Hey, your character's a serial killer. No, not really, but you can be an environmentalist. So you can be Sierra Club or Greenpeace kind of guy. You know, you can be a farmer. Now, the art inside is not that great. It's very reminiscent, actually, of old school Shadowrun art, that kind of black and white line art. It reminds me of first edition Shadowrun art, honestly. And it's probably the same artist because there weren't too many guys back in 89 or 90 or whatever. So I'm actually going to pick military because I'm going to build myself real quick. A much younger self, but let's see now. So, I was not an officer. So that means United States Army. Hoorah. And regular forces. No prerequisites. That's not true. That's not true. There were prerequisites. But whatever. When you go through basic training, you get melee combat 2, smart arms rifle 2, stealth 1. I don't remember learning to sneak that much, but whatever. Thrown weapon 1, yes. Chucking hand grenades. Characters with both intelligence and education of 7 plus may enter OCS. If so, they receive. Okay. So that's your regular forces basic training. Everyone who goes military gets that. Now, if you go in enlisted, you can choose 4 levels of a combination of skills from a list. And these things include climbing. So maybe your character was in 10th Mountain up in New York. Computer operation. I don't know. You know, bargain. Maybe you spent a lot of time in Korea haggling with hookers. You know, Mama-san trying to get dill. Engineer, that's obvious. You're an engineer. Heavy weapons. Well, that would be me. I was trained with the M60, and then later, when they got rid of the M60, the 249, and then the 240. Mechanic, medical, melee combat, navigation, observation, small arms, stealth, thrown weapons, and vehicle use. That could also be me because I was in a mech infantry unit, so Bradley's. And then as you go through subsequent terms, and each term, like I said, is a number of years, you get to pick more skills from an even larger list, right? Now, if you want, you can choose to join an elite force, which I didn't do in real life, but maybe I would in this game. So you could do something like airborne infantry, airborne ranger, green beret. You know, I think this is all Army, so there might be Navy SEALs or something further back. There's Marine Corps. You can recognize them because no matter what anyone says, the Marines have the best dress uniform. And I say that as an ex-soldier. Their uniform's freaking tight. All the chicks love that shit. When I was in, we were running around in the friggin' green uniform with the Ronald McDonald field cap. So lame. But if you go elite, then you need to be elite. You gotta have good attributes, man. Strength, con, and agility combined 17. So this guy's gotta be a physical guy. And you receive some good skills too: melee combat, navigation, small arms. Yeah, elite forces. Okay, basic training, and then you go right into the enlisted elite. Bear in mind, there's officers too. So if you're the kind of guy you want your character to be like Colonel Mustard, you know, I served 42 years with the 3rd Infantry and, you know, whatever, you could totally do that. I would probably choose to be enlisted just because most officers are jerks. Until they get about major lieutenant colonel, but anything lower than that, lieutenants will get you killed all day, most of them. Some captains are really good. I had a couple of good captains. My favorite captain actually had been enlisted, got out, used his GI Bill to go through college, and then when he got his degree, he just came back in as an officer. So, of course, he was totally a rocking kind of officer. I mean, he was strict. We're an infantry unit, so there's no bullshitting around. He was by the numbers, and on the jump. But um, he's a good guy, you know. He didn't make us do stupid like needless shit, but he did make us train a lot. We did spend about 290 days plus out in the field every year. So when we weren't deployed, which was a lot. But regardless, I mean that's 18th Airborne Corps bullshit right there. Even though I was not airborne, but I was still under that rapid deployment. Skills too, as you would expect. Parachute, that's kind of cool. I don't know if it'll ever come in handy in a game, but you never know. Stalking, which I suspect would be like tracking in Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. Ooh, vessel use boat. You want to go up the Mekong to get Colonel Kurtz. This might be your people. Then we got our Marines, who appear to be actually, whereas the Army gets melee unarmed combat, the Marines get melee armed and melee unarmed. So I guess that takes into account the fact that they train with those K-bars or sabers. So that's cool. That's cool. And then you got your enlisted Navy guy, your Navy officer. So if you wanted to be a Green Beret, here's your SIL guy. What's he got going on? Well, his first term skills: swimming, demolition, melee combat, boat use, parachute. So yeah, you got your SIL, you got your fighter pilot, Navy aviator. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to be Top Gun? But anyway, so you got this whole list, this in the gray. That is the list of careers you can be. And you get to go ahead and pick and choose and pick your skills to build your character. So, I mean, if you're talking about customization, great customization, because you pick, you don't roll. You pick, everything's picked. And then the point is, after that, is you live in the dark times. And what they've done is they've basically taken, I say basically a lot, what they have done is taken pretty much every meme from horror movies that has ever been made, and then they've crammed them into one setting. So They Live is in this. There are aliens in government that are attempting to do evil shit, excuse my language, evil things, and you might uncover them and then have to fight them. There are vampires. There are, voodoo is the thing. There are zombies. There are ghosts, demons, and pagan gods, and everything like that. In addition, in this time, because of the interactions of all these evil things on Earth, Earth itself is like They Live. I mean, you have the very small who are very wealthy and can actually afford things like food. And then you have the vast majority that lives on welfare. And they live in welfare housing, Section 8s. Even their clothes is provided for them by the government. And according to the book, the clothing, for the most part, is made out of basically almost like paper. And everything sucks. And they give you just enough to keep you alive while also keeping you miserable and pissed off. So, all of the big cities have no-goes, riots all over the place. Political candidates are already picked. You have no choice in them, really. I mean, the illusion of choice is there, but in this setting, it's not real, And then you have, on top of that, you have just human scumbags taking advantage of the thing. You have sellouts that know these things are happening and they profit by it. They sell out their fellow humanity. Areas, because the governments are breaking down, and not just in America, the world over, these governments are breaking down to the point that traveling from major city to major city cross country can be very dangerous. There are raider gangs out there, like Mad Max style almost. Not quite, but similar to that. The sewers are full of mutants, or experiments that some shadow government or whatnot has created, just unleashed into the city for, you know, to cause more misery and whatever. So combat is pretty much what you expect. You roll your die tens, target number based on mods to hit. Weapons do damage depending on the actual caliber of the weapon. So let's see if I can find something here. They have space travel if you want to add that into your game. Okay, I'm not seeing the weapon charts here, but here's the vehicle stuff. Everything's on meters or yards and feet. So, okay. And they have, you know, the space shuttle. Remember, this game was made 30 years ago. So you may have to upgrade it a little bit if you were to play it. So the referee screen. This is where it just talks about the world, and it's got some really good art in it. And this looks like it's Elmore art as well, the color art. And of course, I'm going to say the Elmore art is good. It looks like Elmore style. But basically, again, but okay, your character is just trying to get by, or maybe your character has figured this stuff out and has decided to actually take part, to be an active combatant in this war against the Dark Ones, or whatever your referee wants to throw at you. And again, the Dark Ones can be anything. It can be anything that the referee feels like the Dark Ones should be. It could be mythological monsters that it turns out are alive. It could be servants of elder gods like Yig, you know, dragons, anything like that. And then you've got, of course, the dark races that they give you options for, and that's pretty much your different kinds of, well, aliens and others, you know, like looking at the pictures here, we've got fairy, we've got the Barghest, the Banshee, Morlocks, Fomorians, mutants, some kind of insect people, alien greys, some kind of weird tentacled creature, mummies, skeletons, werewolves, of course, all kinds of different lycanthropes. Moreau, like from the island of Dr. Moreau. We got some pictures of some zombies, poltergeists, changelings, vampires, lesser vampires, vampirekin. So you get the idea. All kinds of monsters. Pretty much anything that, pretty much anything your ref could really think of wanting to throw at you. So I'm going to hurry on a little bit. So it gives you, it talks about the immortals. See, this is 100%. Actually, this picture right here, I'm pretty sure I saw in a Vampire the Masquerade book. I could be wrong. If it's not from a Vampire the Masquerade book, that is the same damn artist, I swear. This guy's even got stakes. He looks like a Bruja to me, or Bruja, depending. I get corrected about that all the time. But then you've got your equipment section, and it's just like Twilight 2000. It's got a picture of the weapon. It's got basic statistics, range, rate of fire, damage, whatnot. The damage value is the number of die tens you roll for damage. So, and then if it's got a -1, it's a die 10 -1. It's always a die 10 though. So the standard high standard 22 pistol is semi-auto, and it does -1 damage. Whereas the Colt Crate is a 10 millimeter ACP, and it does 2 damage with a recoil of 3. Recoil is a thing in this game. Every time you shoot, you got to keep recoil, because the more recoil you build up, the harder it gets to hit with subsequent rounds. All right. So we got the AKR 762 and 556. Wow, nice. So the AKR has got a rate of fire of 5 and damage of 3, but it's got a big burst recoil of 8. So that rate of fire means that, yeah, he can attack you 5 times with that thing and an attack action. If he hits all 5 times, then you're taking 15 die 10 damage, making the game pretty deadly. We got the MP7, the MAT 49, Ingram Mac 10, the M117, which was the old school short. That's what they used in Vietnam a lot of times, the Colt Commando or whatever. The M231, that's what was initially issued on the Bradley to be used through the firing ports. But this is past my time, but I heard that newer model Bradleys don't even have those. They just got rid of that whole idea. And then you've got your different rifles, Winchesters. Now you're full on, battle rifles. So AK-74, the AKM, AKMR, G11, which, the M21 sniper rifle, that's what they had when I was in. The M21, which is just an M14. Colt M16A2, I used that. The G3, I owned one of those and sold it, and now I regret it every day of my life. Look at that thing, rate of fire 5, damage 4. My God, that freaking recoil though. Car 98. In case you want to fight Nazi zombies equipped with Car 98s, got good damage though. And then they have some like space weapons in here too, if you want to add them. The H&K call and the Armington heavy laser. They got Ma Deuce in here. Just in case you want to shoot at a Wendigo with a 50 cal. 8 damage, 8 die 10 on a hit. Yeah. If that hits you, you're done. There's the GPMG Mossberg 500. Which you would just use the exact same stats for Remington 870, the M60, there's my boy. They even have rules for, hey, you want to shoot down a pterodactyl with a stinger? I don't know if that's possible, but, tank breaker. All right, where's the RPGs at? Nah, okay. And then, of course, when you're out and about, you got to have a Yugo, right? Little Yugo Contempo, cruising around the mean streets with your Yugo. You got your Chrysler, Volkswagen, Kartoffeln, the Mazda convertible, Mercedes-Benz. They got rules for Humvees, Range Rovers, tractor trailers, school buses, Greyhound buses. Anyway, so we're about done. They got the Cadillac Gauge Commando in here. Basically an armored car with a 40mm grenade launcher. What else do we got? Hueys, Comanche. All right, and then different... The whole back of this book, which I like, and this is something GDW used to do. The whole back is just full of quick sheets for, like keeping track of your ammo. Just little helpful sheets and random things. So what will I tell you about this game? My experience. The setting is whatever your DM makes it. So it's hard to rate the setting. If you have a good DM and you're into this kind of supernatural thing, vampire hunting or hunting down evil wizards or aliens or they lives or whatever, your DM can make this on a scale of 0 to 10. Your DM will decide. So you got a good DM, this is going to be a 10 game all day long. But I think that's fair of every system by and large. So that's my setting thing. Really depends on the DM. Otherwise, it's just if you like horror movies. The rule system, a lot of people would say that this rule system's pretty crunchy. It keeps track of a lot of stuff, like every round of ammo, Every foot you move has an effect on your ability to fire. You're keeping track of recon. You're keeping or recon recoil. You're keeping track of penetration from rounds through cover or armor. You're keeping track of multiple hit locations and the effects those will have. So this is not a simple game by any means. It's not overly complex, and having ran it, once you actually read through it and you run a couple combats with it, it's not bad. But there is a lot to keep track of. So playability, really, I give it a 7. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. It's very playable, but it doesn't stand out. It's not like my OSC stuff, which I give that playability 10 out of 10. It's just super playable. But this, it takes a little bit of work on both the player and the GM's part. It's going to take a little bit of work. Art is okay. I mean, it goes from awesome to, awesome Larry Elmore art to some pretty simple line drawings that aren't that great to, middle road stuff. So the art's okay if that matters. It doesn't really matter that much to me. Art doesn't. I've got into it on my Twitter account because I told somebody I didn't really think art was important as rules and layout, and they, being an artist, got super butthurt about it. So there you go. It's got a great selection of weapons, and this game is 100% compatible with the yellow book of Twilight 2000, as far as I remember. So all of the weapons and vehicle data books or equipment books for that game, you could just use in this game. So, is this a good game? Yeah, I loved it. I had a good time playing it. I'm not sure I would run it again. There's other games that are definitely on the list that I would like to try, like Wrath and Glory, the 40K system that recently came out a couple of years ago. I own everything they've put out. I just haven't been able to run it. Hell, I might think about running some Twilight 2000. I mean, that was always fun. And I did back the new Kickstarter, so this time in 5 years, I should have another box set. I never did like the setup for this game, though. I always altered it. The rules, though, are this is more simulation, is I think what I should say. GDW's Die 10 system, be it Dark Conspiracy, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, or Twilight 2000, these were simulationist games. So they were a lot more detail oriented, and they took into account a lot of stuff. And for some people, that's what they like. Overall, like I said, 7 out of 10. It's a good game, and I'm keeping this video short. Shout out to BRC. He knows who he is. Who said I should keep my videos under 30 minutes. I'm sorry I failed, compadre. This one's going to be 34, 35 minutes, but I did hear you. So he used to be one of our best players in an old D&D game that I ran, 3.0 and 3.5. We converted. But it was during that period. Haven't seen him in a long time, but homie, I hope you're doing great. And thanks for making a comment on my video. And that's going to be all. I'm thinking I might, for my YouTube page, just review these old games that I've had sitting around and give a little bit of a shout out about them. And also point out that many of them, a great many of them, can be had off of Drive-Thru RPG for very reasonable prices. And no, I am not paid by Drive-Thru RPG in any way. If anything, I give them way too much money. So that's it. I'm going to end it there. And as always, I hope you have a good time gaming. God bless America. And have a great evening.